Welcome back to another episode. So today is going to be a little bit different to what I've been doing up to this point. This is going to be a zero edit video, and from now on this is what I plan to do, because I will be honest, I've had enough of going through my videos after I've made them and making edits, because it can triple and quadruple the amount of time that you spend making videos. I just want to make the best possible videos for my channel and for you watching. So from now on, we're going to do things a little bit differently. I've got my coffee and I'm just going to hit record like I already have, and we're just going to dive into it. So lots of great stuff to cover. The main topic of today's video is going to be 14 years of advice I'm going to give you in the next 20 odd minutes. Might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less, but it's going to be around 20 minutes. And there's three main things that I want to cover today, and this will really help you when it comes to creating digital products and selling them in your online business. So if you don't know my story, I've been making digital products for over 14 years. My first digital product I made back in 2011. I sold that for $5 and I made a fair few sales, and then it just went on from there. So that was 2011, and over the last 10 plus years, I've created, made and sold 100 or over 100 digital products in my business. I will explain more about why I've created so many as we go. I will give you a little bit more of the story and exactly why I've done that. But there's three main things I want to cover today, and this will, as I said, it's really going to help you when it comes to making digital products. But as I did say earlier, when the video started, there's not going to be any edits on this video. We're just going to go straight into it, and I'm not going to cut anything out. So this is going to be 100% authentic content that I'm going to make for you. And it is normally, but I normally go through the video afterwards and make some edits. But we're going to do things different from now on. So we'll see how it goes. So the very first thing I'm going to say is, and this is the tip number one, this is the very first thing I want you to understand when it comes to making digital products. And that is, repetition beats most things. So before we dive into why repetition beats most things, over the last 10 plus years, as I said, I've created and sold well over 100 digital products in my business. And if I had to total up everything, it's well over 1.3 million just in digital products. Now, these are not expensive products. I've been selling these for between about $9 and $47. So they're not expensive products. But for a lot of people, this is an ideal way to get started, because it's a low barrier entry for a lot of people, a lot of your customers, when they pay you money. So selling a $20, $30 course is generally quite easy. And this is why it's often a good way just to get started if you want to get started selling digital products online. So I've made well over 1.3 million and hundreds more thousands in affiliate marketing sales as well. So as I said, I've been doing this stuff for many, many years. And these three tips are the main things that you really do need to know. And number one, as I said, repetition beats most things. The reason why that's so important is because I've made over 100 digital products. The 100th product that I made was a lot better than the first product I made. Common sense. The more you do this stuff, the better you will get. So repetition is something that you just have to get used to. Just crank out the products. And this isn't, I wouldn't even say this is just to do with making products. Anything you do online. So when you make these videos, if you do similar things to me, if you make videos and create content for Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, then your first video is not going to be very good. But this is probably my 2000th video, and I've still got things to learn, but I do learn all the time. I pick things up all the time. It's a constant learning curve all the time. You're constantly learning. But I can guarantee that my first video that I made in 2008 was pretty awful compared to what I now make in my business, the videos I now make. And it's the same for products. You just have to get your first product out there. And I see this all the time, is that people think that they have to look really professional on camera, on their video when they make their product. It doesn't have to be video. Remember, it can be an ebook. You can even do a podcast. So you don't necessarily have to always do a video training course. So you could do an ebook, but video courses are generally what most people are used to. And they do generally have a higher perceived value as well. So if you were to sell a video course, it would just always feel a bit more expensive, because you can tell most of the time that someone has taken more time when they make a video course as opposed to just an ebook, because you can make an ebook by using something like Google Docs, and it's much easier. So that's the very first tip. Repetition beats most things. You just have to get started, start making products. My very first video course I made was 2010. And to be honest, it wasn't terrible, but my audio probably wasn't very good. I think I've still got a course somewhere. And the camera that I used at the time wasn't very good. There were lots of things that I could improve on that course now. Many, many things. But at the time, you don't know what you don't know. But you can't get too hung up. Don't worry too much about the things that you don't know, because you will learn more by just doing things. Even if you make mistakes, learn by that and move on, than you would if you sat there for 2 years learning all about video and how to make videos, and maybe going to night school to learn how to be a videographer and all of this stuff. You don't need to do that. You will learn more by making courses and making videos. So that's the very first thing. Repetition beats most things. That's tip number 1. The very first thing I want you to understand is that the more you do it, the better you will get. I can guarantee the 20th product that you make will be better than your first. So what have we got next then? So number 2, and this is something that I know a lot about, what I'm now going to tell you in number 2. Tip number 2 is go wide or go narrow. So what the hell does that mean? Well, I'll explain. So going back to my own story, 2011 was when I made my first digital product. And I sold that, as I said, for about $5. And at the time, I thought that just making a product was the best thing to do. And that was, I made some money from it and I learned and I kind of moved on from there. But what I then done is I created another 100 plus products over the next 10 plus years in on various topics to do with online business, if that makes sense. So the course that I made in 2011, that was to do with, and I think I've mentioned this in a different video before, that first course was all about making niche sites where I made money from Amazon, and I sold some affiliate products on that on that website. That was 2011. So that was the very first site that very first product that I made. And that was based around how I was making money with niche sites. But then I decided for some reason, now I don't know, I can't remember exactly why, this is just the way it happened back then. I decided to go wide and create products on all different topics. So my next product, after I'd created the product about niche sites, was to do with list building. Because as I was learning myself in this business, I was then creating training to teach my customers the things that I had learned. Yeah, so that was my information business. As I was learning, it was almost as if I was learning and making mistakes for a lot of my customers. So I went out there, learned what worked, learned what didn't, and then I kind of gave all of that information to my customers, which they had to pay for. So I used many months of my time learning all of this stuff, and then I created a course showing exactly what I'd learned and things that had worked for me, which then saved a lot of my customers a lot of time and a lot of money. So I created a list building course. That was my second product that I made. That was 2012, and that actually did quite well. That made about 200 or 300 sales within a couple of weeks. So that actually did do quite well. And then what happened was, from 2012 onwards, I then made an email marketing course, and then I went into affiliate marketing, product creation, and made all these different training courses over the next 10 years. So I went wide. I did not focus on one particular topic. Now, looking back, do I regret doing that? I don't really know, because maybe I wouldn't be sat here making today's video, giving you tips and advice on things that I've done in the past if I hadn't have done that years ago. Who knows? It's like Sliding Doors, the movie. If you've seen Sliding Doors, the movie, one small change could then affect the rest of your days moving forward. Who knows what would have happened or what could have happened? I don't know. But that is what I decided to do. I created tons more products and I went wide. Now, the downside to that, and this is where you need to either learn from what I'm telling you now or have a really good think about your direction moving forward. Because although I made some good money over that 10 years creating digital products, I was always selling new products to my customers that they were not necessarily always interested in. Does that make sense? So I had email lists on all of my different products. This is how I did it. So every single product that I released, whether it was to do with list building, sales funnels, whatever it was, I created a brand new customer list within my autoresponder. So then after a few years, I could look back and I could see all the different products that had generated customers, and I could see how many customers on each email list. I also had like a master list as well, where everyone was on one list. And this is, I would say this is another big tip, is to make sure that you segment your email lists. If you do go down the road of what I done and create lots of different products, then make sure that you segment all of them. Don't just have one ginormous list, because you're not going to know who has bought what. And if there's any updates to any of the products that you have released, you're not going to know who has bought what. Yeah, so that's kind of common sense. So make sure you segment all of your different products. You know, if you do decide to do what I've done. So I went wide and created all of these different products, and I made a lot of money. I done really well. But I was leaving a lot of money on the table. And if I look back now, I don't think that is what I would do now. In fact, it isn't. I would do things differently now. And this is what I'm now going to share with you. So go wide or go narrow. So that was what I did. I went wide. And this can happen in lots of different markets and lots of different niches. So let me give you another example. Let's say if you're in the fitness industry and you create a product, and this is just an example. I use the fitness industry because it's just easy. So let's say you created a product in the fitness industry all about how to build muscle for men over 40. Yeah, just a simple one, yeah. You could sell that product, and then you could then go out and create more products that are related to that. So then you could go and create a product on how to build muscle for women over 40. And then you could create another product, how to create 15-minute meals that are super healthy and rich in protein. So you could create a course all about that, how to cook really healthy meals. And then you went out and created another course on all the best stretches for back problems. Even though these are all interconnected, you know, they all play a part within the fitness industry, someone that bought the product, like for instance, if it was a man over the age of 40, even though he would probably be quite interested in exercises for back injuries, he might be interested, it's not going to be that targeted to that particular audience, you see. And this is kind of what I done in my industry. I went wide, and if you'd done that in the fitness industry, you would still make money and you would still do okay. There's still going to be people on your customer list that would probably buy all of those different products. And here's when I would say it comes down to experience, is if you try to end up serving everyone and please everyone, you're going to end up serving and pleasing no one. And that's really only something you learn after doing this stuff for many, many years, like I have. So you're faced with a question: do you go wide and just create lots of different products? You know, let's say if you had a YouTube channel and you created 10 or 15 different digital products that you can sell to your audience. Yeah, I mean, you could do that, but it's a lot of time. It's a lot of messing around. It's a hell of a lot of research that you're going to have to do, video creation, you know, creating the sales page and all of that. Versus, do you go narrow? So now let me give you an example on what you can do when you go narrow. So you could have a course that you sell in your business, which is your flagship course. And let's say you sell that for $195 or $197. That could be your flagship course that you sell. So if you make one sale a day, that's almost $6,000 a month. Perfectly doable. But the great thing about only having one single product in your business is that you need one sales page, one follow-up sequence, and one website where you send everyone to access that product. And any update that you have will just be for that one product. So it is much easier. In hindsight, that is what I would have done. But again, does that mean that I regret doing what I did? Not really, because I learned a hell of a lot in that time. The things I learned over the last 10 years, or well, almost 14 plus years now, what I've learned in that time, a lot of the stuff is extremely valuable. Stuff that you can't really learn in a course, even on a coaching course or anything like that. These are just things that you learn in time, through experience, through failures and success. So my advice is, I personally now would go narrow. I wouldn't go wide. I would create one good solid product and expand on that. Now you can, of course, create another product if you want to. And here's an example of what you could do. So you could, as I said, create a flagship product and sell it for a couple of $100, a couple of £100, whatever currency you want to sell it in. And then you could have a premium course that you sell as well as. It could be a one-on-one meetup. It could be group coaching. So you have to think about your direction moving forward. What is it you're trying to do? And more importantly, how much time do you want to spend creating products? Because there's a lot of people out there that have done what I've done. There's a lot of people that have created lots of digital products because, it goes back to the same old, you don't know what you don't know. So at the time in 2011, if someone would have come up to me and said, Paul, after you've created this first product, you could use this as like your practice product. You need to create something that you're going to sell for the next 5+ years. But no one said that to me. No one come up to me and told me that. These are things that I've learned myself. But I would have made a hell of a lot more money if I would have made one single product and then sold that product and made that product the best I possibly can for the next so many years moving forward. Now, one thing I will say is you can pivot. You don't have to have the same product in your business and sell that forever. You can pivot and change things slightly moving forward. So don't think you have to be too static and you have to stay exactly how you are as soon as you've made a product, because you don't. Of course, you can change. I've made pivots over the last 10 years as well. So it's completely normal. So go wide or go narrow. What do you do? Well, that is really up to you. I personally would go narrow now, knowing what I know now, and not go wide, because you end up not serving all of your customers in the best possible way, because you end up becoming too diluted and creating products in too many different niches and on too many different topics. So number 3, this is tip number 3. And again, this is very important because I see a lot of people not doing what I'm now going to tell you. So tip number 3 is build up your audience first before you launch any kind of digital course or product. This is something that a lot of people just don't seem to really understand. Maybe you've tried to create a product yourself before and you've tried to launch it, you've tried to sell it, and you've put all of this work in and no one buys. If you've gone through this situation yourself already, then I'll tell you exactly what you've done wrong and exactly what you need to do moving forward. So what you need to do is build your audience first. And I know you've probably heard this before. I know it's not exactly the answer that you may want, but it's the truth. You have to spend the time building up your audience first. The way I kind of look at it is launching a product and making money a lot of the time is like building a house. Is you need to do the foundations first. The foundations when launching a digital product is creating an audience that already know, like, and trust you to a degree, and they'd be willing to buy things from you should you put something in front of them that could help them solve their problem. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong, and maybe this is what you've done wrong as well. You've made a course and you've just tried to sell it on social media before you've got any audience, and that's why you can't make any money. So what you need to do is you need to build up an audience first. I would even go as far to say that forget about making a product, because people come to YouTube or TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and they try and make money, so to speak. But making money is the last thing that's going to happen, because first the very first thing you need to do is create an actual audience of people that know you, people that have got a little bit of a relationship with you, and you've got a relationship with them, and they trust you, they know who you are, and they know that you're credible. Once you have that, then you can start to think about selling stuff to that audience to help them with their problem. So you need to build up your audience first. And I've said this before, but it can take some time. But this is why so many people give up on selling digital products online, because they think that you can just come to the internet, throw up a couple of sales pages, drive people to a page, and you can make all this money. It doesn't work like that. Yes, it can work like that. I've created products in the past, and I've made the product, and I've sent people to the sales page, and the first day, I've made $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000+ in the first day. And it can happen, and it can seem really easy when you look in from the outside on people that are doing this, but there's lots of things that are going on behind the scenes that you often don't see. These people would have generally spent time building up their audience first. So you could even look at it like spend 6 months building your audience and then 1 week making money, because that's kind of how it is. And I mean, that's just an example, but if you spent 6 to 12 months building your audience, and you don't need millions of people either, you really don't. Because let's just do the maths for a second. If you've got a product that you want to sell in your business, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in, so don't think that you have to be in a particular industry. Everything that you do when it comes to selling digital products, you can be in any industry. It doesn't matter. These strategies and techniques and ways of generating traffic and sales work in just about any niche out there, whether you teach the guitar, whether you're a piano instructor, whether you could teach circus tricks, you could be a magician. It doesn't matter. What I'm now going to tell you works in every single niche. So you spend time creating the content, you spend time building the foundations, and then when you launch the product, you've then got an audience to actually sell to. And one of the things that I used to do, and I still do it now, it's a bit easier now for me because I've already got an email list of people that have bought lots of my stuff in the past. But again, you don't build that overnight. This just happens in time. Obviously it takes work. But one of the best things that I ever did was build a list of people interested in your stuff first. So like I said, build up an audience first before you launch any type of digital product or course. Absolutely. But one stage further on from that is offer something for free, or get people to enter your email list somehow. It can be you give them a free report, free videos, whatever. And then you have people on your email list. So then you can contact them people when you have a course. So you could spend 6 months creating content. I mean, it might take longer, it might take less time. It depends. There's lots of variables involved. It's impossible for me to say, well, it's going to take you 3 months, or it's going to take you 9 months, or it's going to take you 6 weeks, because it then comes down to your your content creation plan, how often you submit content and post content. So there's lots of things to really think about and lots of variables to actually consider before I can say, well, it's going to take you roughly this long to see results. But you start creating content, and then once you start building up people on your email list that have got your free information, it could be an ebook, it could be some kind of a free report people download, it could be a mind map, it could be a recipe if you're in the cooking niche. There's all different things that you can give people. As long as whatever you give them is valuable, then when you have something to sell, these people already know who you are. So that is the best thing to do before you actually launch your digital product, is you need a little bit of an audience first. But that goes without saying most of the time, because you can't just expect to come to the internet, make a product and just put it out there and sell it, because that's not how it works. You have to put a little bit of work into the whole system first, and that is creating content, building some trust and credibility on the internet before you end up selling anything. So those are the three things. Repetition beats most things. As I said, advice number one, tip number one, repetition beats most things. Number two, go wide or go narrow. It's up to you. I went wide. I suggest you go narrow and just focus on one or two products, because trust me, it will be easier and you're going to be able to get more work done if you focus on less products, because I was churning out products all the time for years and years. Like I said, though, I don't regret doing it, but I'm now telling you what I would do if I had to do it all over again. And tip number three is build up your audience first before launching. That's very, very important, because if you don't do that, you're going to find it very difficult to actually sell anything. You can't just expect to just release something on the internet and then be able to just sell it to random people, because that's not how the internet works. So go and use them. I hope that you've found them valuable, and that's going to help you in your own business. If you do want to learn any more, then above this video, there's going to be some other videos, or on this page somewhere on this screen, there's going to be some other videos that you can go and check out. Some other really useful and valuable videos that I've made. So go and check them out. They're really going to help you when it comes to creating digital products in your business and making sales.